Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, archangels of the Most High, messengers of light, of healing, and of hope, we call upon your nearness today with a cry that rises from the depths of our soul. This is not a casual request. This is not a routine prayer. Today our heart bends low, troubled before heaven. There is an urgency that burns within. There is a miracle that must come to pass, not from pride, not from vanity, but because pain has reached a point where strength is gone. Therefore, we turn to you, heavenly princes, with faith, with reverence, and with complete surrender. You are with us on this prayer channel, a place where earth and heaven meet in intercession. Here, each word becomes a bridge. Here, each plea becomes an act of trust. Here, each offering becomes a small sanctuary for those who believe the impossible can become reality when God chooses to move. If your heart is crying out for an answer, if there is something that seems impossible to human sight, this prayer is for you. Pray with us. We pray as one. We gather our scattered breath and lift it upward. We open our hands to receive what we cannot produce. We dare to believe while the night still lingers. We dare to whisper hope while tears still fall. We confess our limits and cling to divine mercy. We ask for holy intervention, swift and gentle. Let the soul be steadied while we speak. Let the mind be quieted while we wait. Let the will be softened to the purposes of God. If there is fear, let it be calmed. If there is confusion, let it be cleared. If there is weariness, let it be met with breath from heaven. If there is a door still closed, let courage remain until it opens. If there is a path not yet visible, let trust hold our steps. This is the hour of supplication. This is the hour of surrender. This is the hour when we say together, we will not let go of hope. Pray with us, because the archangels are already here. Saint Michael, mighty warrior of the unseen realms, you who wield the sword of divine justice and freedom, turn your gaze toward the cry that rises from this wounded soul. The urgency we carry is not born of impatience, but of a sacred desperation that burns within. Something has to change. Something has to move. It cannot remain as it is. Therefore, we call upon you, Michael. Intervene with your authority. Descend with your brilliance. And let the fire of your presence consume what resists heaven's will. Come with your power. Come with your light. Cut away every chain that has held the miracle bound. Break the invisible barriers. Tear down the walls of despair. And expose every hidden shadow that still stands in the way of grace. Dissolve the knots tied by fear and confusion. Let every word of defeat be silenced by the sound of your sword. Let every dark intention be scattered by the flame of your obedience. Let the atmosphere shift where faith had been suffocated, and may the breath of heaven begin to move freely again. You are the defender of the just, the protector of those who still believe when strength has failed. You stand at the threshold between light and darkness, guarding the children of God with holy courage. Strike now against every force that has delayed the answer. Cut through the spiritual resistance that drains hope. Pierce the fog of doubt that covers the path. Lift your sword high, Michael, and let it blaze as a sign that heaven still fights for us. If there are invisible prisons around the heart, shatter them. If there are whispers of defeat echoing in the mind, silence them. If there are chains unseen, let them break under the power of divine command. May your authority open a passage where none existed. May your strength restore what despair had taken away. Let the name of God be exalted. Through the freedom your battle releases this very hour. Saint Michael, Prince of the heavenly host, stand between us and the storm. Defend the weary, shield the faithful, and where there was darkness, let there be dawn again. For when you fight, victory draws near. When you move, evil retreats. And when you stand guard, no force of hell can prevail against the will of God. Saint Raphael, angel of healing and restoration, you who walk beside the wounded in their long journeys, receive also this silent plea that bleeds without sound. There are pains unseen by any human eye. There are wounds that do not bleed outward, yet remain open within. There are urgent needs that cry out for a divine response. You know, Raphael, the hidden roads that lead to relief. You discern the roots of illness, scarcity, loneliness, and injustice. Therefore, come now with your gentle yet mighty presence. Touch with your hands of light all that must be transformed without delay. If there is a sickness without name, bring healing. If there is a sorrow buried deep, bring comfort. If there is a fracture in a home or heart, become the bridge that restores connection. You who carry the medicine of heaven, pour your balm where human care has failed. Let your peace flow like living water, through memories that still ache. Let the weary body find breath again. Let the trembling soul rediscover its song. Walk through the corridors of hospitals, through houses wrapped in silence, through rooms filled with despair. Where there is pain, carry hope. Where there are tears, carry consolation. Where there is a prayer that seems impossible, bring the reminder that nothing is unreachable for God. You, divine physician, who restored Tobit's sight and guided Tobias in safety, come once more to those who stumble in darkness. Let every broken cell respond to your light. Let every anxious thought yield to calm. Let every fear dissolve into faith. We welcome your healing, Raphael, not only of flesh, but of soul and history. Heal what began long ago and never found closure. Lift away exhaustion that prayer alone could not cure. Turn the ache of waiting into a doorway for grace. Let divine mercy flow through every unseen place. Let what is fragile be restored to wholeness. For where you pass, the fragrance of hope remains. And where your light lingers, life begins again beneath the gaze of God. Saint Gabriel, messenger of heaven, you who announce good news and open long-closed doors, carry this plea before the throne of the Most High. Present before the Almighty this supplication that cannot wait. Speak on our behalf with your voice of light. Open the ways still sealed to human effort. Accelerate the time of grace. May the yes of God be spoken. May the answer descend. May the heavens move, for it can no longer remain as it is. There is a door that must open, a turning that must occur, and it must happen now. Gabriel, let your presence sweep through the silence. Let your words pierce the stagnation that burdens our hearts. Let divine command replace human delay. If there is a decree of impossibility, let it be revoked by the authority of God. If there are closed gates along the way, let their locks be shattered by your radiance. If there are still obstacles unseen, let them be dissolved under the sound of your proclamation. You who first brought tidings of joy to the world, bring also the announcement of mercy into our midst. Let your voice echo through the soul that has forgotten how to hope. Speak where fear once silenced prayer. Call forth the dawn of divine promise. Remind us that what God declares shall never return void. Let your light descend into every waiting heart, carrying the whisper that heaven has heard. May our faith not be postponed. May our hope not be delayed. Let the timing of God meet the ache of humanity and turn waiting into fulfillment. Saint Gabriel, envoy of divine will, when you speak, creation stirs. When you move, the seasons align. When you deliver the word of the Almighty, mountains bow and the impossible shifts. Therefore, speak again, Gabriel. Speak over our lives. Declare that the miracle is near. Announce that what was held back is being released into our reality, and let every heart receive your message as the beginning of its restoration. Write with faith the miracle you seek in the comments, so the three archangels may intercede before God. We continue on our spiritual knees, with hearts surrendered and eyes lifted toward the heavens. For when Michael fights, Raphael heals, and Gabriel announces, no miracle remains distant. And today, in this united cry, something begins to stir within the invisible. Archangels of the Lord, you who know the hidden pains of every human heart, come now in aid of those who plead for a miracle that cannot be delayed any longer. This is not merely a wish. It is not a dream, nor a failed goal. It is an urgency of the soul, a cry that overflows the limits of human strength. When resources run dry, when medicine loses its power, when all paths seem closed, it is to heaven that we lift our eyes. It is to your voice, O Lord, that we direct our prayer, with torn hearts and faith stretched like a bridge. Saint Michael, the Archangel, warrior of the Almighty, you are the defender of the righteous, the crusher of darkness. Cast your sword upon everything that seeks to hinder this miracle. Cut the cords that bind progress. Break through invisible barriers that delay divine response. Disperse the clouds of confusion. Silence the accusing voices. Destroy the sentences of defeat, whether spoken by human words or released by dark forces. May your divine authority open, at this very moment, a passage where there was no way. Let the light of heaven invade the places where despair had built its walls. Let what was stagnant begin to move again. Let faith rise from the ashes of discouragement. For you, Michael, are the guardian of holy justice, and your command is faithful. You go before those who trust in God's promise. You fight for those who have no strength left. You bring victory where human sight saw only loss. Therefore, we call you, Saint Michael. Open the way where hope had been lost. Let the miracle find its path toward us tonight. Saint Raphael, the Archangel, divine physician and bearer of the healing power of God, stretch forth your hands of light upon us now. Touch the sick bodies weighed down by pain, the anguished souls longing for peace, and the homes that tremble on the edge of despair. You who walk with the wounded along their roads of sorrow, be present also in this cry that bleeds in silence. There are wounds no one sees, illnesses that have no name, hearts that suffer behind calm faces. Come, Raphael, for your compassion has no limit, and your healing reaches where human hands cannot. If the miracle we seek is physical, let your touch awaken restoration. If it is emotional, let your balm descend and soothe what words cannot. If it is within a family, be the bridge that reconciles what distance divided. Visit the hospitals where faith still whispers through the night. Enter the homes covered in silence and fear. Step into the rooms where hope has fallen asleep. Where there is pain, carry hope. Where there are tears, carry consolation. Where there is loneliness, bring companionship. And where there is despair, let the fragrance of heaven breathe again. You who once healed Tobit's blindness and guided Tobias through darkness, come again with that same mercy. Walk through the corridors of grief, through the paths of those who cannot find rest. Let your healing light flood the body, the memory, the heart. Let it reach the places untouched by medicine. Let every organ, every cell, every breath, remember that it was created to live. If there is fear of death, bring life anew. If there is sorrow without words, bring the tenderness of peace. If there is fatigue from long battles, bring holy renewal. Saint Raphael, healer of God's people, bind the invisible wounds of the mind. Dry the secret tears that prayer alone could not stop. lift away the heavy spirit that has forgotten joy. Replace anxiety with serenity. Replace despair with the courage to believe again. Let the grace of heaven seep into every corner of our being, until the heart rests in divine stillness. And when the healing is complete, may gratitude rise like incense before God's throne. For where you pass, Raphael, restoration follows, and where your light touches, life begins again. Saint Gabriel the Archangel, heaven's voice and messenger of divine promise, you who once announced the greatest news the world has ever known, descend now, and bring to our hearts the same assurance of hope. Speak for those who can no longer find words. Whisper life into souls that have grown weary. Where everything seems barren, breathe the freshness of new beginnings. Carry this plea to the throne of the Almighty, and present before Him the supplication that can no longer wait. Let your radiant words travel through every closed path, reaching the places where faith feels fragile and forgotten. You, who revealed God's promises to Mary, remind us again that the Lord still speaks. There are promises once made and later forgotten by us, but never by Him. Awaken every heart that has lost memory of divine assurance. Speak gently yet firmly to the spirit that doubts. Let your voice be heard in the inner silence, saying, "It is not over. The heavens are moving. The miracle is on its way." Bring the sound of restoration into the hollow of despair. Let divine timing meet our human waiting, and let faith become the bridge between what is hoped for and what is already being fulfilled. Saint Gabriel, messenger of the living Word, go to the depths where hopelessness has taken root. Blow upon the ashes of forgotten dreams, and ignite them with the breath of eternal life. Remind every discouraged soul that heaven has not turned away nor fallen silent. Even in the pause, God is preparing renewal. Let your light reach the furthest corners of doubt, removing shadows of guilt, fear, and confusion. Let your presence be calm yet strong, so that hearts may recognize your holy message. When your voice resounds, Gabriel, the desert blooms, the silence becomes song, and pain bends before the promise. Announce again that the time of grace has begun. Declare that the Lord has remembered His children. Proclaim that the word spoken from heaven is already unfolding among us. And may this soul once trembling rise in quiet confidence, knowing that heaven's decree cannot be undone. Celestial archangels, radiant servants of the Most High, in this very moment may your presence be felt in a real and living way. Let the atmosphere change. Let the air grow light with peace. Let the heart, once restless, begin to breathe in relief. For we are no longer alone. We are now surrounded by the armies of heaven. The impossible begins to bend before faith. The season of waiting turns into the season of harvest. The urgency of our cry meets the urgency of divine love. O Lord, let all that was stagnant start to flow again. Let every miracle once distant draw near with haste. Let the flame of faith that almost went out burn once more like a rekindled ember. Let this prayer, born of sincerity and sacred desperation, rise like incense before your throne, not as a common request, but as a cry that pierces the heavens. May your angels, O God, move swiftly in response. May their wings scatter resistance. May their light undo confusion. May their song of deliverance echo through the unseen world. Open your soul now. Allow this prayer to reach the deepest part of your being. For in this moment, we are not simply asking, we are believing, fighting, interceding with our whole hearts. This is not a symbolic gesture, nor words thrown into the wind. It is a real supplication before heaven itself. And in this sacred place of prayer, Saint Michael, Saint Raphael, and Saint Gabriel take their stand. They do not ignore the cry of one who has reached the end of strength, yet still holds faith alive through tears. You who pray now, you know how much you have tried. You know how many doors have closed before you. You know the nights you have lived in silence, unsure of where to turn. Yet something within you still pulses, still believes that heaven can respond. That small flame of faith is all the archangels need to act. Therefore, open your heart without fear. Let trust rise higher than pain. Let hope breathe again through every hidden wound. For in this hour, heaven is listening, and the archangels are moving on your behalf. Saint Michael, you who fight the battles unseen by mortal eyes, tear down the invisible walls that have kept this miracle from appearing. If the enemy has risen in strength, let him now be cast down by your authority. If dark forces seek to block the blessings, reduce them to nothing by the power of your sword. You are the one who treads upon the serpent, who unmasks the hidden works of darkness, who guards the children of God with unshakable might. Come, heavenly warrior, seal this cause with the victory of heaven. Saint Raphael, there are sorrows no one sees, illnesses without explanation, souls that bleed within, though the skin remains unbroken. You who were sent by God to heal Tobit and protect Tobias on his way, you know the secret path toward complete restoration. Enter the homes still shadowed by sickness. Enter the hearts burdened by grief. Enter the bodies weighed down by pain. Where there is a diagnosis without cure, bring the miracle. Where there is fear of death, breathe life. Where there is discouragement, sow new hope. For the healing that comes from God transcends all human medicine. Saint Gabriel, messenger of eternal promise, you who announce salvation to the world, remind us again that God still speaks. There are promises once heard, and now forgotten, but never forgotten by Him. Rekindle weary hearts with the words once whispered in secret prayer. Let your sacred and tender voice be heard within the soul, saying, "Do not fear, for God has heard your cry." Oh, because a single word from you, Gabriel, can shift the atmosphere, can reignite faith, can awaken the spirit to the newness of God. And if any soul feels too weak to continue, if the weight has become heavy and long, let them know now they are not alone. The three archangels walk beside them. They surround their cause. They defend their faith. They intercede before God with holy urgency. For this is not just another request. It is a cry heaven already knows, a pain heaven has already seen, and one that is now receiving an answer. My urgent miracle is being delivered by the hands of the archangels Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel. Reflect now and look within. What are you waiting for with such urgency? What is the miracle that must happen now? Visualize it before God. Surrender it with faith. Allow the archangels to enter this battle with you. In this very instant, something begins to move. The time of waiting turns into the time of divine response. What once appeared impossible is now being touched by the supernatural. For where faith is present, heaven acts. Where prayer rises, gates open. And where the archangels fight for you, no force of evil can prevail. Saint Michael, the Archangel, Prince of the Celestial Army, lift your flaming sword over this cause we lay before you. Let every spiritual power that rose against this blessing be exposed and weakened now. Let the evil that works in shadows, that whispers lies and plants doubts, be torn out by the root. There are walls that have stood for too long, chains that have stubbornly held this life captive. But now, by the authority God has given you, rise against every barrier, undo every chain. Let the impossible be rewritten, with the name of victory written across it. How many times has this praying heart been dismissed? How many times were they told it was too late? that there was no way out? But you, Michael, know the truth hidden within. You see what human eyes cannot. You know that behind pain there is faith, and behind weakness there is a cry of hope. And it is for that faith, small yet burning, that you move now, Michael. For heaven responds not to appearance, but to surrender. Saint Raphael the Archangel, guide of travelers and healer of the suffering, visit now the roads of this person's life. There are doors that never opened, paths that seemed to end without direction, crossroads where confusion reigned. You who led Tobias with safety, take this tired hand once more, and point the way forward. Where there is confusion, bring clarity. Where there is delay, bring acceleration. Where there is deceit, bring light. Let divine wisdom guide every step, so the soul may walk without fear. And if there is any sickness, visible or hidden, enter every cell, Raphael. Move where medicine cannot reach. Restore what seemed beyond repair, not only in the body, but also in the mind, in the emotions, and in the soul. Where weariness has piled up, bring renewal. Where unnamed pain still lingers, bring peace. Where old wounds remain untreated, touch them with your holy anointing. You were sent to restore, so restore completely. Let life spring forth where hope once died. Let calm rise where anxiety took control. Let the miracle be deep, silent, and lasting. Saint Gabriel, the Archangel, let your voice echo now over this cause. With divine authority, announce the change, proclaim the reversal, declare that the time of waiting is coming to an end. You who brought the message that changed the world, bring now the announcement that transforms this story. Let the voice of heaven overpower the voices of doubt, of guilt, of fear. Let the heart that felt forgotten or abandoned feel seen and remembered again, called tenderly by name. How many times has this soul prayed without answer? How many times have they walked by faith without seeing fruit? But now, Gabriel, you arrive, bearing the seal of a new time. You breathe direction into confusion. You break the silence with a word of life. Speak, then. Let every sleeping spiritual cell awaken. Let the inner ears open to the confirmation of heaven. Let the soul rise with confidence. Let the miracle be no longer awaited in doubt, but recognized as reality approaching swiftly. In this very moment, Michael fights, Raphael heals, and Gabriel announces. Heaven moves on three fronts: war, healing, and promise. And this united power meets no resistance that can stand. Where the archangels act in harmony, darkness retreats, sickness fails, and no silence can hold back the voice of God. My miracle is being prepared by the three archangels. Saint Michael the Archangel, in this moment, when the soul begins to sense that something is moving within the unseen, raise your sword once again. You, defender of those who pray in truth, you who ignore no tears shed in faith, stand before this cause. With steadfast gaze and a heart inclined toward our cry, if there is still spiritual resistance, hindering the manifestation of the miracle, let it now be undone. Let every obstacle fall to the ground. Let every spirit of confusion, delay, or disbelief be dissolved by your divine authority. So many times, Lord, the heart nearly gave up, strength hung by a thread, faith was close to exhaustion. But you, Michael, never give up, you remain. Even when the soul can no longer pray with words, you understand the groans, the silences, the tears. You read what is hidden within us, and that is why we trust you so deeply. For your battle is loyal, your protection faithful, your presence unchanging. We ask you now, do not retreat, do not rest. do not yield until this miracle is made complete. Saint Raphael, the Archangel, turn once more toward the pains that still remain. How many wounds have been silenced by fear, shame, or sheer exhaustion? Touch them, Raphael. Restore what no one else can see. There are marks invisible to the human eye, but perfectly clear to yours. If the heart is still torn by memories of loss, of humiliation, of promises never fulfilled, come with your balm and anoint those memories with healing. For a miracle is not whole until the soul itself has been restored. Let the blessing find a heart ready to receive it in peace. If paths are tangled and doubts still loud within, guide us, Raphael. Illuminate the senses. Align our choices with divine purpose. Let no step be taken outside heaven's direction. Let no door open by mistake. Let no distraction pull us from what truly matters. Teach us to discern what is essential, to walk with holy confidence, to release what no longer serves, and to move forward with courage, even in the midst of uncertainty. And you, Saint Gabriel the Archangel, lift your holy voice once more over this soul that waits. Proclaim again that the time of harvest is approaching quickly. You who carry the word of God with both power and tenderness, bring now the confirmation this heart has longed for. Let the Spirit within hear clearly the phrase that transforms all things. Heaven is already acting on your behalf. May that quiet assurance bring rest to what trembles. May anguish give way to serenity, and may faith be rekindled like dawn breaking after a sleepless night. For when your voice echoes, Gabriel, the desert blossoms, the silence becomes proclamation, and pain bends before the promise. Continue to announce that the time of grace is here. Declare that God has remembered His children. Proclaim that the word spoken from His heart is already at work among us. Let every weary mind be lifted by your proclamation. Let every forgotten prayer awaken again in hope. Let every delay be turned into preparation. Where there was frustration, let understanding enter. Where there was fear, let courage rise. Where there was confusion, let divine clarity reign. For when your presence fills the air, the soul recognizes truth, and the waiting heart finds peace. The three archangels continue to work, not as visitors passing by, but as sentinels sent by God to accomplish what is eternal. Saint Michael fights where the battle is fierce. Saint Raphael heals where pain once lived. Saint Gabriel declares where silence used to reign. Together they form a shield that protects, a wind that renews, a voice that frees. The miracle is no longer a dream. It is a living reality taking form. Heaven bends toward the cry of faith. Something sacred is unfolding in this very moment. If your heart believes, if you sense within that the miracle you've prayed for is being received by the archangels even now, hold firm to that conviction. Do not let fear silence your hope. Lift your eyes with gratitude, for the process of heaven is already in motion. Every piece is being aligned, every delay turned into divine timing. No power of darkness can undo what God Himself has decided to fulfill. Soon, the words once whispered in prayer will become songs of testimony upon your lips. The miracle that once seemed distant will stand before you, radiant and complete, the work of the archangels and the mercy of God. My miracle is being prepared by the three archangels. Saint Michael, the Archangel, guardian and sentinel of God's children. In this silent hour, when the soul rests in trust, we ask you to remain watchful over every detail of the miracle now unfolding. Your sword has already cut through what was hidden. Your presence has already stilled the waves of despair. But we implore you, stay near. Do not withdraw your protection until what was promised is fulfilled completely. If there are still shadows lingering along the path, disperse them with your light. If doubt tries to creep into the mind, repel it with your authority. If the enemy approaches whispering fear, silence him before he enters the heart. Let no spirit of confusion find room to act. Let nothing rise against what heaven has already decided to give. Strengthen, Michael, the spiritual walls surrounding this divine promise. Guard this miracle from seed to manifestation. Let no human interference corrupt it. Let no envious glance weaken it. Let no contrary energy interrupt its course. May the birth of this blessing be like the sunrise, undeniable, radiant, full of warmth and life. Saint Raphael the Archangel, continue to heal the story behind this cry. For the miracle we ask is not only a response for today, but a restoration of what was broken along the way. You know the pains that were silenced, the losses never resolved, the dreams interrupted without explanation. You know the pieces of hope left behind through the years. Gather each fragment, Raphael. Restore not only the situation, but also the soul that has been wounded by so many frustrated weights. Touch the memories that still bleed. Touch the days that were never overcome. Touch the old prayers that once seemed ignored. Let this new miracle not only heal the present, but also redeem the past. When it comes to pass, let it bring peace over everything that once caused pain. May this be a time of complete healing, of body, of mind, of spirit, and of history. You who carry God's anointing, consecrate everything still uncertain. Let anxiety vanish. Let the calm of divine certainty fill the one who prays. Let peace dwell as a foretaste of the miracle to come. For those who trust in you, Raphael, begin to feel healing even before the signs appear. Saint Gabriel, the Archangel, messenger of the divine will, continue to release from heaven the confirmations this heart still seeks. Speak with clarity to the spirit that prays in silence. Let no sign go unnoticed. Let no divine whisper be misunderstood. May every moment of the day carry the imprint of your message. Even in the smallest details, let the presence of heaven be felt. If the blessing is still forming in the invisible, let faith sustain its birth. If it is already on the way, let patience guard its timing. If it is being delivered little by little, let each step be welcomed with gratitude. Keep this heart firm in the certainty that everything God gives is good, perfect, and complete. Intercede now, Gabriel, for every connection within this miracle, people, paths, and choices. If something must change, let it change with grace. If something must align, let it align with heaven's will. Let what must move begin to move, and what must appear come into the light. Archangels of the Lord Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, in this quiet hour of prayer and surrender, seal this moment with the peace of heaven. Let no agitation disturb the sacred stillness. Even before the miracle appears, let it already be felt as truth within the soul. Let every breath carry hope. Let every heartbeat proclaim that God is at work. Saint Michael, Prince of the heavenly host, keep your sword raised over this cause. Let nothing delay what heaven has begun. Break every invisible resistance. Let the light of victory shine where fear once lived. Saint Raphael, continue to heal what remains fragile. For the miracle is not only what we receive, but what we learn to sustain afterward. Heal the emotions, renew the mind, and prepare the soul to live the blessing in peace. Let healing be complete body, mind, and spirit, and let calm rest where pain once ruled. Saint Gabriel, open our eyes to see the signs of God's action. Let gratitude come before fulfillment. Let faith rejoice before sight. For when your message reaches us, Gabriel, the heart already knows something new has begun. Archangels of God, remain with us beyond this prayer. Let this miracle be the first of many. Let this home be forever filled with your light, your care, and your divine protection. I receive my miracle under the light of Saint Michael, Saint Raphael, and Saint Gabriel.